So we got the Hextech Chests back, and I've already seen people making fun of the devs telling us about sustainability and now reverting back the changes, sort of in opposition to what they were previously telling us. The thing is, Hextech Chests seem to remain unsustainable, but removing them is even worse. They realized that after the majority of the public on social media decided to exclusively talk about Hextech Chests. Well, that's most likely not the main reason. It is probably a part of why they decided to revert the changes, but at the same time, I believe that the numbers of players or people who were interacting with the game was going down. In the developer update video, they talk about the situation, but in addition to what was said there, Riot Meddler made a comment about it on a Reddit post. While we still need to make sure the business side of League is sustainable, this was clearly a poor way to try and do it in retrospect. Very damaging to the player experience, which made making a great game and a sustainable business become a conflict when it should be a synergy. We think when we've been at our best historically, it's been because making something really good leads to sustainable business results in the long term. To me, this means one thing, and it's probably obvious to all of you: they are going to find new ways to monetize the game. In my opinion, a very simple way to monetize on top of a great game is, of course, if you release great skins at an affordable price. Yes, I know, a very original idea. Realistically, I don't know how much money they made from the first two Exalted skins, but for example, the Jinx one was backed by a better skin line and an entire show. So I would assume it generated a lot more than the set skin. Even then, I believe if they made the skin affordable and as good as the TFT one, many more people would think about purchasing it. I mean, just look at this. The TFT skin is an exact copy of the Jinx we see in Arcane. I know that there are some limitations in League of Legends, and as far as I know, I could be wrong, some of those limitations are related to the base model. But in my opinion, they should have reworked or rather recreated the base model of Jinx because of the show. Doing this, they deliver quality, and in return, they will receive the appreciation of the players materialized in what they need: money. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Perhaps we will never know because they want to continue the Exalted skins, just not as frequent because they want to keep improving them, whatever that means. While on the subject of Exalted skins, they are planning on making a few changes to how people get notified when a new skin is released, and Riot Meddler gave us a bit of insight on that. Exalted skins intrusiveness. Next patch 25.5 will swap it so that the Sanctum is on the default landing page. Longer term, we'll then figure out what the best way to let people know a new skin exists without shoving it so prominently at everyone. And he also touched upon the subject of patch naming, where he mentioned that it was a mouthful to say right and felt forced, so they simplified it. Now for the other subject, which is closely tied to the first one and the main idea of Hextech Chests, is something I've seen people talking about. I've seen many people who believe that we now get only 10 Hextech Chests per season, or other people who believe we get only 10 Hextech Chests in total. The thing is, these people don't understand that the League year is split in 3 separate seasons, and each one of them has 2 acts. Every act has its own battle pass, and in each battle pass you will be able to get 8 Hextech Chests. The other 2 will be obtainable for honorable players. And before you ask, the drop chance will be the same as last year, and you will also get keys to these chests. You can also take a look at the changes that were made to the battle pass on your official site, and you can see what is paid, what is free, what was added and what was taken out, such as the Alistar skin and the Rel skin. This is what Riot Meddler had to say about those. We'll be doing a separate Alistar skin with a different team that will come out later this year. For those existing Alistar and Rel skins, still figuring out what we should do about them. We don't think they are in a good state, or to be honest, that those were great starting points or skins that are distinct enough from the base Alistar and Rel in retrospect. Personally, I would hope for those skins to be given for free, although I have seen other suggestions, such as the one given by Necrit, where the skins should be given to the people who purchased the Ambessa book. I think it is a good suggestion because that way you can promote something directly related to Arcane and the story as a whole. The problem with that is people who will end up spending a lot more because they want just the skins, not necessarily the book, which is why there have to be other options besides buying the book. In case you don't want to go through the battle pass written in text, here is a visualization on what you are about to get in the free pass as well as what you pay for. The blue essence gains have been greatly increased, especially when you consider the 50% decrease in blue essence cost when you purchase a champion. Besides that, you will also be able to get champion capsules from the pass. This is what Riot Meddler had to say about champion shards, in case you're wondering. Goal is to not nerf the disenchant value on those shards. Short term, it probably will go down at least in 25.5, given it's tied to the champ's blue essence price. We'll decouple those though in a later patch, still figuring out exactly when that will land. Would recommend either disenchanting shards before 25.5 lands or holding them a bit until said later patch. Don't forget that the champions who are part of the pass, the paid pass I mean, will be given for free if you do not own the champion. That would be Darius, Scion and Talon. On the subject of lore, because that's a very important subject to many people, including me, Riot Meddler mentioned a few weeks ago that they plan on bringing updates to certain biographies, and he mentioned Camille and Seraphine. Because in this developer update they didn't talk about anything else other than the user experience, we could assume that they are going to talk about that in a future developer update. The thing is, we don't even have to assume anything because SpiderX asked him about it on Reddit and he replied that they plan on talking about it in the regular developer update. I have already talked about this subject in another video where I talked about the idea of updating biographies. I still believe that they should go further than the biographies and they should think about updating the short stories as well. For sure, the short stories are interesting, some of them, but if they want to, they can also add an updated version. I know that would mean that they have to invest a lot more, but when you consider that the next show will be released in a long time, this seems like a good idea to do in the meantime. At least that way the community will be able to read something official instead of going through fanfiction. Of course, my plan is to stay away from fanfiction because I believe fanfiction breeds delusion. I could be wrong, but I believe people who read fanfiction become deluded with that version of the story that's not real, and then they go on and talk about it and how they wanted that to happen in the second season instead of what we received. Either way, you can tell me your own opinion about all of this in the comment section.